might need to move. That's Good morning. Welcome to the Planning Hearing Officer hearing for April 28th, 2001. My name is Vilia Zamaitis, and I will be conducting the hearing as hearing officer. Due to the COVID-19 novel coronavirus and the health recommendations from the LA County Health Department, this hearing is being conducted virtually with no members of the public present. The public is encouraged to watch and participate from the safety of their homes and to practice social distancing. The meeting can be viewed on local cable TV and is being streamlined online at the city's website at www.glendaleca.gov. For public comments and questions during the meeting, please call 818-937-8100. Again, that's 818-937-8100. The hearing will proceed as follows. I'll read the description of the application and request. I'll then read the reports received from other city departments and other letters or communications from interested parties. The case planner will make a brief overview of the case, give analysis, and make a recommendation. The applicant will then be connected by telephone or video, stating both name and address, and will be asked to present the case within a 15-minute time limit. Others in support of or in opposition to the application and interested parties will be connected by telephone to give comments, again clearly stating both name and address, and this is within a 3-minute time limit. Lastly, the applicant will be given the opportunity to make closing comments if desired in response to testimonies given by preceding speakers. The hearing will then be closed and the case taken under submission. If the findings presented in the application and at the public hearing meet the required findings set forth in the municipal code, then the project can either be approved or approved with conditions. If the findings of fact are not evident, then the request will be denied. After the hearing, the decision will be prepared in writing and will be in the form of a letter sent to the applicant and to all persons who responded to the public notice, either by speaking at this hearing or by submitting written responses and having provided their name and mailing address. The date of the decision will be the date appearing on the letter. Records of the decision for all projects will be posted online on the Planning Division's website. Under the appeal provisions of our Glendale Municipal Code, the decision may be appealed to the Planning Commission within 15 days of the date of the decision. Anyone wishing to appeal must contact the case planner to obtain forms and information regarding the appeal process and submittal. Notification of this hearing was accomplished by the use of public notices, which were mailed to all property owners and occupants located within 500 feet of the subject property. The site was physically posted and a notice was placed in the local newspaper. I would like to inform everyone that the official proceedings of the Planning Hearing Officer's hearing are being televised live and may be viewed online on the city's website. We have one case on today's agenda, and that is the discretionary permit application for a parking reduction permit, case number PPRP 2010935, to allow the construction of a new 3-story, approximately 4,900 square foot general medical office building to be located at 821 East Colorado Street. The project will provide 13 parking spaces on site, and this parking reduction permit is to allow for a reduction in parking when 19 parking spaces are required by today's zoning code for the new building. The project site is located in the Commercial Service C3 zone, Height District 1, and described as Lot 14, Block 4 of the Glendale Orange Grove tract. The project is exempt from CEQA review as a Class 3 new construction or conversion of small structures exemption pursuant to Section 15303 of the state CEQA guidelines. With that said, I will look towards the comments from the other city departments, and it appears that most of them are just standard comments. The Public Works Department and from engineering is requiring a 3-foot land dedication along Colorado for street purpose use. And the applicant shall enter into a covenant agreement with the city for drainage and inspection purposes. All the other ones are just standard Public Works engineering comments. Again, the fire department also had standard comments regarding the construction of the new building. Same for building and safety, that it meet all of today's current building codes. Glendale Water and Power, again, standard construction conditions. The urban forester had a few comments and requirements for the existing trees, the street trees, to be maintained and preserved. And last, the economic development had no comments, and neither did the police department or the neighborhood services co-enforcement division. So with that said, I would like to turn the meeting over to the case planner, Mr. Roger Kiesel.
Good morning. Good morning, Ms. Dematitis. Harander Sarkisian is proposing to demolish the existing buildings on site at 821 East Colorado Street and construct a new 4,900 square foot general and medical office building. The 3 buildings proposed for demolition include a 1-story residence and a retail building at the front of the site, and a 1-story garage / residential building at the rear of the site. In 1964 and 1965, the Craftsman style house at the front of the site was rented by the leader of the Western region of the American Nazi Party. This building served as the regional headquarters for this group during that time, during that two-year period of time. Supporting the city's ongoing efforts to reckon with its past racist history. Prior to the building being demolished, the property will be documented by the Library, Arts, and Cultural Department. Photos and videos will be retained in the library's collection for the use by researchers, as well as possible inclusion into future exhibits. The materials will also be available to the consultant retained by the city to prepare a historic context focusing on issues of race and ethnicity. So moving on to what is being proposed, the proposed general medical office building will be 3 stories in height, 49 square feet in area. The first level will include a lobby behind which 13 parking spaces are proposed. The second level will include 2,327 square feet of general office space. And the third level will include also 2,327 square feet of medical office space. As proposed, the building requires 19 on-site parking spaces. The applicant is proposing 13 spaces and therefore requests approval of a parking reduction for 6 spaces. Let me just go over briefly what I have on my PowerPoint. Sorry. This is a photo of the subject site. If you can see my cursor here, this is where the building is proposed. This little residential building here is what I just described as headquarters of the regional Nazi Party for a couple years. This is the first floor site plan of the building. Colorado Street is to the right here. The driveway entrance to the parking lot is here. The 13 parking spaces are aligned here. And this is the lobby to the building right here. This is the second floor. So the elevator and stairs and lobby are here, and the office space is here. The third floor rental, this is a different scale, just so you all are aware. Again, the elevator and stair is here, and it aligns obviously with the first floor, and the dental office will be here. This is the front elevation of the building. The entrance to the building is here, and the driveway entrance is in this location. This is the rear of the building. You can see there's a frame here for the building, and parking is under here. Part of the parking will be covered by the building, part of it won't be. And then the east elevation, Colorado Street, is on the left-hand side. And the west elevation, where Colorado Street, is on the right-hand side. So I'll leave this elevation up as I go over the rest of the presentation. The project is zone C3 and surrounded by properties in this zone and commercial development. Aside from the north, where the properties are zoned R2250 and developed with multifamily housing. As Mrs. Zematitis mentioned, other city departments basically recommended standard conditions of approval for this project. Excuse me. There are 4 categories under which a parking reduction can be requested. The applicant has chosen finding C, which prescribes that a parking reduction permit may be granted for commercial or residential uses proposed adjacent to local or regional mass transit lines or routes when the review authority determines that the reduction is justified based on documented mass transit use of the patrons and employees of that use. Staff believes that the applicant has adequately documented transit use, excuse me, and that the location of the site along East Colorado provides for current and future opportunities for consistent and expanded mass transit use. The client of the applicant currently operates a dental office located at 212 North Glendale Avenue in Glendale. According to them, many of the dental patients are elderly and do not drive to the office. The applicant surveyed clients for a 2-week period and determined that approximately 48% of the client base took modes of transportation that do not require the use of on-site parking. Given that the proposed new location of the dental office is so close to the existing location, the gridded street network, as well as the fact that there are no intervening features that would potentially alter transportation modes, it really is reasonable that current clients at arriving at the new location would use the same mode of transportation that they currently use. While the submitted mode of transportation survey provides useful information, given client bases change over time, given that client bases change over time, the survey really is limited and should not be used solely as justification to grant the requested parking reduction. So the subject site is located on the north side of East Colorado, between Everett and Cedar Streets, and is located within a high-quality transit area, according to the Southern California Association of Governments. The site is adjacent to or within a short walk from a number of Glendale B-Line and LA Metro regional bus routes. The staff report really details the B-Line and bus routes running adjacent to or near the project site, so I'm not going to go over them, but there are a number of them. Given the proposed project's proximity to these numerous bus lines and their frequency, the demonstrated means by which clients arrive at the current dental office and the new locations, the new dental office's location within a high quality transit area, the reduction of 6 parking spaces is justified by the findings for subsection C, and staff believes that sufficient parking would be provided to serve the use of the proposed building. Little caveat, parking reduction permit approvals are tied to the use under which they are requested and do not run with the land. So should the medical office cease operation at this site and a new use is proposed, that applicant for the new use would either need to provide the current, at the time, code required parking for the proposed use or apply for another parking reduction permit and receive approval of that permit, obviously. This concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions. If you want me to go back with the slideshow or unshare my screen, just let me know.
No, thank you, Mr. Kiesel, for that presentation. At this time, the applicant has a 15-minute period to make their presentation. So Mr. Haran Sarkisian, would you like to go first, or would you like to have your traffic engineer proceed?
I think maybe I'll start, and then would like to still try to, they're trying to call and join this meeting, but so far they have not succeeded. So they called that general number and the people said they couldn't help them. But I'd like to start the presentation. You know, my name is Haran Sarkisian. I'm a practicing architect and I've had an office in Glane continuously since 1987. And I started working with Glendale in 1977. Some of my houses now are historic, strange as it seems. My address is 520 East Glen Oaks. I'm the architect and the applicant for the 5 now. It has grown to 6 parking space reductions for the proposed new building. Originally, I submitted an application for an administrative parking exception on November 5, 2019, along with drawings and a model of the building. By the way, the model is over there, and I will bring it closer to you so you can see it better. Unfortunately, I'm deprived of the normal opportunities of presentation, and this is really a very difficult and somewhat, I would say, a difficult presentation. At that time, I was told by Roger that the request for administration parking exception did not have planning department support, and therefore, if I pressed on, it would not be approved. By the way, the fee that we paid for that sum in that date, November 5th, 2019, it still has not been returned, even though I sent a letter and email to Roger and retracted my application more than a year ago. I wrote a letter where I'm working with Roger, the planning department staff indicated that I submitted a model and they liked the building, but requested that I move the building back from Colorado 4 feet back in order to allow for placement of some planters. This request resulted in an awkward 4-foot exposure of the corner building on the east side. This relationship I had an opportunity because there was a meeting at the site with 3 planning department members, and Mr. Foyt was there. So I had a chance to show him what the result of this pullback would be. And he would expose the building in the corner, which is a block building and very ugly. And he commented that that was not cast in stone and they would be open to a revision of that. And therefore, the drawings that are presently submitted shows the building back to its original location that I had started with. My clients are a husband and wife team of dentists, both practicing dentists, presently located in the leased space at 212 North Glendale Avenue. They reside in Glendale and have had a practice in Glendale for over 8 years. Their patients are substantially elderly Glendale residents. Mr. Jano Baudigan, our traffic consultant, will cover issues related to the modes of transport. If you have any questions on that, his report is attached and submitted and amended also. The proposed building is a 3-story building, as was indicated, 4,935 square foot structure, and it contains, on the street level, it only has a tiny, the smallest lobby and stair, just an access. Per Glendale Municipal Zoning Ordinance, section 30.32.050, table 30-32A, if constructed as an office building, it would need only 13 spaces. 4,935 divided by 1,000 multiplied by 2.7 is equals 13.32, where 13 parking spaces are provided. Changing the use on the 3rd floor, 1,900 square foot space to dental occupancy adds, to my calculation, 5 parking spaces. Roger keeps including the toilets, the hallway, and the lobby upstairs as dental office, and that, I think, augments the parking one more. But I have disagreed with that because that is not the language. It's in the zoning ordinance of Glendale. It deals with the dental office occupancy, and the dental office occupancy in this building is less than 2,000 square foot. If the building was constructed as a compliant office building, 13 parking spaces, after 12 months of office occupancy, this space, this 1,900 square foot, roughly office occupancy, could have been changed to dental occupancy after. I was the reason, tried to do this properly, and I advised my client to go through this process, and it has taken us almost 2 years. Frankly, I consider that my error. I should have proposed to build the building as an office building and then later go to this process. Perhaps we would have gotten there earlier than we are going to. By approving this application, really the city of Glendale is only waiving the 1-year waiting period for a resident and an ongoing business owner in Glendale. That's all this is all achieving for us, unfortunately. Building is located near the Glendale's 3rd most public transportation accessible location. The B line number 6 stops right in front of the door at this building. Bus line 183, B line number 4 stop walking distance away, and bus line 90 and 91 only 1 block west of our entry. Due to the 50-foot width and the single access of this building, it is almost, the property, it is both practically and economically unfeasible to construct a below grade parking level, which was typical, and I've done it many projects in Glendale. I have submitted a sketch to Roger. I don't know if it's possible to have it on there, but by the time you take the driveway and keep the on-grade parking and then put another ramp going down to the lower level and second access, which means that there were two stairs coming in, one from the second floor and one from the underground parking. It wipes out all the capabilities of parking spaces on the ground floor and limits it to only 7. There's only 7 potential parking possible with that scheme. And also on the lower level, only 7 parking stalls are possible. Even then, I believe the fire department is going to object to the fact that the 2 exit distances in the building are not as wide as they should be, as apart as they should be. As you know, Ms. Amataitis, in the 50-foot lots in Glendale, we never achieved the half the distance between the 2 exits. But the fire department has, for years and years, accepted putting 2 exits from such buildings on the 2 extreme sides of the lot, which I have accomplished. So the cost, if we were to go down, the cost to do, and it would involve 2,700 yards of excavation and the shoring on 4 sides, and it would achieve only 14 spaces, and we would be still short. And it would cost roughly $750,000 to do that. So that exercise is just about impractical and not economical. This building is really a positive step in an area of Colorado that desperately needs improvement. So I would respectfully request an approval of the application. Again, Dr. Hovik and Lucina Garabedians are trying to get on board and to just relay part of their life in Glendale and their practice. And Mr. Baldanian is available. And if you have any questions on the traffic patterns and the parking needs, I also requested that Mrs. Ovanesian, who is the landlord of the building where they presently have a practice, participate in this hearing to tell you that their needs of parking on the present site is minimal, and their clients hardly ever use any of the parking. Typically, the elderly clients are driven by family members, and they are picked up by family members. I think this would complete my presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. I'm going to try to bring the model a little bit closer and then rotate it for you to see. The model actually was submitted to the city, and I think was sitting in Mr. Lanzafim's office for a month or 2 once upon a time. I don't know if you ever saw it or not. Anyway, that's the facade, and you can see that the next door building, and you can see that exposure that I'm talking about, which is, you see that the white box on that side and that side, that's the ugly exposure of next door building when you push the building back, the 4 foot. And of course, my application now does not do that. This side of the building is just about completely blocked by the next door building that was built as an office building, and now is 90% occupied by medical, frankly. And this side, I'm trying to show you, this is an existing building also on zero property line and goes all the way to this point. The rear part of the building, there is a residence north of us. We stopped in here some 30 feet before the property, the rear property line. So we don't expect anywhere near the residential building that is north of us. The building, this element is all wrapped in metal, and of course, it rises above the next door building. I did it in purpose to have some presence because we are really blocked between two buildings which are very, very close on the property line. So the visibility of the building is only from Colorado. Again.
Yes, thank you, Mr. de Sarkisian. Actually, the visuals came out very well. So thank you for your presentation. I know that the design review board will be addressing the actual design and detailing and massing and scale of the project. So
actually, I've had the blessing of the staff already on the project. I submitted the drawings and the model, and it was basically approved. The only request was this 4-foot pushing of the building back, which now, since I had that opportunity of the meeting with Mr. Foyt on site, instead of in a meeting that he had not seen, when he saw the situation, he agreed that that was, you know, not the greatest arrangement in there.
all right. Well, thank you, Mr. de Sarkisian. It still has to go through the design review process. However, it appears that it needs to go through the administrative design review process.
Sure. Yes.
And that is after the fact, because you are not allowed to go through the design review process with a project that does not comply with the zoning code. And in this case, what is being requested is a parking reduction request for 13 spaces versus the required 19 for the office/commercial project. So, but thank you. Mr. Jana Bogdanian, I know, is your traffic consultant. Mr. Bogdanian, would you like to speak as well?
No, I'm available for questions. I think Mr. Kiesel explained the analysis very well. If there are any specific questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Okay, and just to repeat, the findings for this particular parking reductions are based on the fact that the project site itself is located adjacent to mass transit, and the actual usage, both the medical tenants, the office tenants, as well as the visitors, the businesses have a different parking need in this case because there is mass transit. There is quite a bit of base that actually walks or is driven and dropped off for the medical and dental. I apologize, I keep saying medical, even though it's in the same category, but for the dental business as well. So if this building was purely office, Mr. Kiesel, am I correct to say that the building would need to provide 13 parking spaces for a professional office building?
You're correct.
So, and that is what they are providing.
They're providing 13. If this was an entirely general office building, that's how much they would be required to provide.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have any callers?
Yes, Ms. Untitled, we do have a caller. Would you like to take those down?
Yes, please.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Brent. You're live with the planning hearing officer. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. Good morning. I actually own the building adjacent to this property at 825 East Colorado, and I just wanted to kind of, give sort of a bit of an opinion. And I can appreciate parking is such a concern in Glendale and specifically in this area. And I just sort of want to. I very much appreciate the commissions and the traffic and the design work of the building. It looks like a beautiful building, but I can honestly just sort of say we've been in a pandemic for the last year or so and have had sort of diminished need for the restaurant that is next to us and for some of the restaurants and stuff across the street. And obviously there's a hall that's across from the restaurant itself, a community center that has all been sort of diminished need for parking. And I can tell you firsthand, the employees and the reduced staff here in this building that has had to find street parking during the daytime have had a heck of a time. And it seems interesting to me that I think the firsthand knowledge of knowing how hard and how difficult it is for the people in a reduced capacity during this pandemic is only going to get far worse, as things sort of gear up and come back online. And, I appreciate I only have a couple of minutes, and I just wanted to kind of give a firsthand account of, parking being a very precious thing in this area as it is. And I think it's truly only going to get worse. And, I can appreciate the need for more medical buildings and can tell you again firsthand, the medical building that is on the other side of this construction, they are not wrong. There is a lot of dropping off and picking up of traffic. I know that because twice a week, I have to go out there and tell people, please stop parking in the driveways of the buildings and businesses in this area. So just, wanted to kind of pipe in and available if anyone has any other questions or concerns or thoughts as the business owner or the building owner adjacent to this property.
Thank you. And this is the building to the east, correct?
Correct.
The two-story building.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. No, thank you for your comments.
Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Ms. Asp, do we have any other callers?
There are no callers on the line at this time. Maybe a reminder of the phone number?
Yes. So anyone interested in voicing their comments, whether it's in support of or in opposition to, it's welcome to call 818-937-8100. And I believe that number is also on the screen. So give a few more minutes just in case there are any last minute.
I will keep you posted on any additional callers.
Okay, thank you. With that said, we typically take the applicant at this time for a rebuttal if they wish. I'm not sure if Mr. Sarkissian would like to speak or Mr. Bogdanian would like to speak in regards to the caller's comments with regarding parking and traffic concerns. Mr. Bogdanian? Mr. Bogdanian?
Unmute yourself, Mr. Bogdanian.
Sorry. Generally right now, just in the parking industry, everybody's going through quite a bit of change as the city of Glendale have expanded all their outdoor dining. We always worried about what happens if you take parking away. And right now, as you can see, in many locations, all these parking spaces are being taken away for outdoor dining, parking lots, off-street parking spaces. So I think we all have to go through this change and decide as cities, what are we going to do? Are we going to continue allowing these parking spaces that were required by code? Now they're occupied for outside dining. What happens? Or if they're restaurants or if they're office buildings. It's quite a bit of change, and we're seeing that. So I think in this case, in this project's case, as was stated, we studied, there's a lot of transit that's being used. The clientele that is using this facility I think a lot of them are being dropped off or picked up. There's access services. And there is, Uber and Lyft. A lot of people are using that. So I don't think the parking from this medical office or the office is going to impact the on-street parking because we believe there is enough parking with the 13 spaces. Other than that, if it converts to office only, then there is adequate parking space. So I don't think this is going to have an impact on the on-street parking spaces if this building is approved and it's constructed.
Thank you for that. Are there any other last minute comments from staff regarding the project? I see.
I don't have any other callers waiting at this moment.
And I don't have any other comments.
All right, with that said, I would like to take the case under submission and I will be rendering a decision in the next several weeks. So thank you very much for attending the meeting. Thank you for the caller for calling in and the public for watching. This concludes the planning hearing officer hearing for April the 28th, 2021. Thank you.